Because in a way, the other debts are just pieces of paper.
Exactly. Neverland was something that he felt was, it appears, that he felt was tied directly to his being. Right. Which possibly is why he agreed to the deal in the first place.
For that deal to work, Jackson needed to move to LA to begin rehearsals. Michael Jackson rented a house here at 100 North Carrollwood Drive, Beverly Hills, just above Sunset Boulevard. It was a French chateau-style property, and it had been owned by Sean Connery. It cost $100,000 a month. So who was bankrolling all this? AEG. The boss, Randy Phillips, an unassuming man in a bomber jacket, yet one of the world's biggest entertainment moguls. AEG owned the O2 in London. A matter of days after the tickets went on sale, Randy announced that they were increasing the number of shows.
Happy, I'm shaking.
He gave an interview about it on a fan's website.
You told us on Thursday that you were putting 10 on sale. You'd set aside 30.
Correct.
It's now 50. What's your reaction? I mean, has this exceeded your expectations? I mean...
Beyond I mean, I don't even... there isn't an adjective to explain how I feel about how the business has been, how many shows, the demand that was created. He said to me, he said, Randy, how many shows do I have to do in one city? I said, you know, 50 minimum.
How you doing?
But it seems that there is some doubt that Michael was on board. He was reported as saying, I went to bed knowing I'd sold 10 dates and woke up to the news I was booked to do 50. There is someone who previously made his own unsuccessful attempt to get Michael Jackson back on stage. An old friend and business associate of the Jackson family, Terry Harvey. What did he make of the AEG plan?
Terry, did you think these concerts were ever going to happen?
I said he'll never do one show. I said it starting in February, and I said it all the way to the day he died. I believe that they got 10 shows insured. I believe Michael agreed to do 10 shows. But did he agree to do 50? No, I don't believe he agreed to do 50.
You don't think he agreed up front to do 50?
I believe he agreed to do 10 shows.
So when did they up it to 50?
The minute they started selling out.
He was alleged to have said to the people organising the concerts, please no more concerts.
50 shows, a lot of shows. Michael ain't performed in years. So, you know, it's just like an athlete. You got to train for that. You got to be mentally, physically ready for that. To me, it was frail.
I'd heard that the dancers hired for the shows had all signed 2-year contracts. I wondered if AEG had always planned for more than just 10 concerts. I needed to talk to Robert Baker, who ran the dance studio.
Hi there. I'm looking for Robert Baker.
Okay.
Is he here? I've got a meeting with him.
Yes, give him 1 second.
Okay, great, thanks. Is that Robert?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Jack. Nice to meet you. Thanks for talking to me. Great. Well, thank you.
It seems as though a number of the dancers had to sign 2-year deals.
Right.
A 2-year contract.
Absolutely.
I don't know what that means. Does that mean that they were booked for gigs for 2 years?
Right.
That the AEG had planned for a 2-year plan
right.
with
Absolutely.
Jackson?
Exactly. 4 of our instructors, you know, did wind up booking the tour, and they'd given us notice here at the studio that they would be gone. They wouldn't be teaching for 2 years because of the deal they just signed with Michael.
A lot of the dancers now seem to want to speak to the press. They want to talk to the media, but they can't. They've been told that they can't.
Well, I mean, they do have a confidentiality agreement, and they have to honor that. Otherwise, you know, their contracts are null and void.
AEG have since told me that Michael was on board throughout. In fact, he signed up for 31 shows from the beginning and approved the increase to 50. They say Jackson even expressed interest in doing enough shows to break the Guinness World Record, and that signing up the dancers was just prudent, in case the comeback had a life beyond London. I wanted to find out how Jackson was preparing for the performances.
Over the road here is Centre Staging, which is basically a low-key rehearsal studio on the outskirts of LA. It's the place where Jackson was due to start rehearsals for the show on March the 7th. And I want to see if I can get in and see the studio, meet the guy who organised it all, called Johnny Coswell. So it was quite a kind of low-key approach. He wasn't sort of going for razzmatazz.
It was a kind of a, we were the top secret location in Burbank. We were being referred to as a undisclosed top secret location that he's rehearsing at in Burbank. So there wasn't a lot of people here because a lot of people didn't know it.
He was due to start rehearsals on March the 7th, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
here. And he didn't show initially. Do you know why that was?
I don't know why that was.
Okay.
I don't know why, but he did show up here at the end of March.
Towards the end of March?
At the end of March, and he stayed here through March, April, and May.
Okay. So he was here for those whole 3 months?
Yeah, he was here for the end of March, all of April, all of May. And on the 1st of June, he moved to the Forum.
But others have questioned his commitment to the rehearsals.
And in the rehearsal rooms, did you get any inkling of what the show was going to be like?
No. And if I did, I couldn't tell you. Everyone that was involved internally were required to sign an NDA.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Yep. So it was all pretty top secret?
Absolutely.
We heard things like elephants and all this kind of insane show. It got madder by the day, a 3D thriller, a new moonwalk. There were all these things being talked about.
I'm sure a lot of that was true and a lot of it was fiction. So I can't speak to what was true and what was fiction without breaking confidences, but I will tell you this, it was going to be the biggest show ever.
Jackson walked this very same walk to save his future. I wonder what he felt as he approached his first attempt at a performance on stage for more than a decade.
Kind of really ghostly, isn't it? Because it only happened a couple of weeks ago, and yet it feels like it's already passed into Jackson legend, you know, what's happened. It's just quite eerie. Johnny told me off camera that the whole of this wall here, this side, the whole wall up until this line here, from here to that wall, was the stage. They built a stage for Jackson there. No one will say what the truth of it is. Now everyone's talking about he was back to his old form, he was back to what he was like when he was 18. I mean, this can't be true. The man died a couple of weeks later.
With 3 months to go before his O2 shows, Jackson began what seemed to be delaying tactics. Newspapers reported that he'd requested a choir of equal numbers of black, white, Asian and mixed-race children capable of doing sign language. And on the 1st of April, 3 months before the first O2 concert, there were stories that David Copperfield was to mastermind a series of spectacular stunts. That Jackson had ordered 100 mirrors for the show and 300,000 Swarovski crystals for his costumes. Then another story emerged that was of more concern.
How's Michael feeling with the skin cancer? Is he okay?
He hasn't skin cancer.
Well, that's the report he had.
No, he hasn't skin cancer.
Was Jackson spinning against his own shows in order to get out of them? 40 days and counting to his first performance in London, but it was still unclear whether he was rehearsing full-time. By day, he was seen sporadically out shopping for toys with his children in LA. But at night, he was cocooned away in his hilltop hideaway. What was actually going on?
Michael he was on drugs. He was on prescription meds, and everybody knew it. nobody wanted to say no. A drug addict got a pattern. A drug addict has a pattern. When they doing drugs, that's all they want to do is get they high on.